Sharp Hardware, J.P. Summers Incorporated Construction and Home Building, Hank Dickerson and Company Realtors, and Murray Savings. Murray Savings was the first in Dallas to introduce an interest-earning checking account. Make Murray Savings part of your financial game plan.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Frank Beaver Show along with Coach Bevers. I'm Eddie Clinton. Big game against Mesquite. I cannot remember since I've been watching Highland Park, guys all come together this early in the season.
Well, normally we don't have to come together quite this early, but unfortunately this year we had to get our kids up real early, and hopefully that this will help us in gathering a little poise a little bit earlier than normal in preparation for later on district play.
Well, it's a lot of fun to hook up against a class guy like Tommy Hudspeth, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And of course it's sad to see a good team like Mesquite get beat. But this year in Texas high school playoffs, two teams have the opportunity to go to the playoffs, and this will probably keep them alive.
King Hall, good ball game.
Oh, King, he's continuing to improve. He'll get better. He's got a lot of poise, a lot of confidence. He really believes in himself. He's very cool, and he'll continue to improve.
Did you think the offensive line was as top-notch as you expected them to be this early in the year?
No, I didn't expect us to be quite this good as where we are right now. Of course, we got a couple of guys that's not there yet, and hopefully they'll get there soon. But they're type of kids that, as long as they play, they're going to get better.
You went 98, 88, and 52 yards. Had to really pick your team up.
Anytime you go 80 or better, it's difficult because the chance of you making an error is real great, and particularly the 98-yard drive, that just really broke their back.
Well, I'd like to talk about a couple of your backs, of course, Brian Glasscock and Rod Jones. You know, Rod was known as one of the great interviewers on this show, but now he's proven he's a pretty good running back, too.
He has a lot of talent. He's a good blocker, he's a good ball carrier, he's a good kid.
Glasscock played well.
Brian had probably one of his better games, had some big plays. One of the touchdown runs that he made was, man, I've never seen any of our kids around here make a run like that, and we think that he's going to get better.
What about Adam Cox? How in the world, every time I look up, he's wide open out there?
Adam is very talented. He can catch the ball. And of course, the thing he's got quickness and he's got speed, and he runs very good routes, and he can just break you back.
Talk about your defense. I know they had their hands full with Pryor, who's a great back, I think.
Did they ever? The goal line stand, this is something that you hope for in a season, particularly at the end, and you never count on it in that first district ball game.
Tell me what went through your mind when Eric, at the opening of the game, ran it out, you're up on the 4, and then you turn it over right there, and they go in and score. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I figured there's already 7 points on the board, which is the truth.
Okay, we'd like to set this up for you. May seem a little formal on the highlights, but we want to tell you that Highland Park goes statewide this week, statewide on Friday Night Heroes, which will be up later here on the Salmon's Channel S. So why don't we go to the highlights, pick up last night or Friday night's action of Mesquite and Highland Park.
It's the district opener in District 9-5A for Mesquite and Highland Park at Highlander Stadium. Highland Park receiving the opening kickoff. Number 12, Eric Mays makes a mistake, brings the ball out of the end zone and tripped up at the 4. Scots with the ball, quarterback King Hall to Brian Glasscock, around right end for 6. On the second play, an early miscue. Hall to flanker Adam Cox, who fumbles. Mesquite recovers and is set up at the 6-yard line. On the first play, Dan McDonald down to the 1. And on second down, Gene Pryor up the middle for the touchdown. Mesquite on the scoreboard early after a Van Taylor extra point. 7-0, 10:28 left in the first half. 2 possessions later, King Hall options for 8. 5 plays later, Brian Glasscock breaks a couple of tackles and gains 11. 2 plays later, Glasscock for 10 more steps. 3 plays later, Adam Cox, number 46, gets good coverage, but makes a good catch. Good for 21 Highland Park yards. First down and 10 at the 12. Brian Glasscock goes up the middle for 7. Second down and 3 from the 7-yard line. Number 34, Glasscock, over tackle for the touchdown. After a Hopkins extra point, with 59 seconds left, it's 7-all, Highland Park and Mesquite. 2 possessions later, Highland Park, second quarter action now. King Hall goes for 7. Second and 3 from the 32. Fullback Rod Jones gets nothing as the Mesquite defense rises to the occasion. 3rd and 3 from the 32. Again, nothing. Mesquite, good defense. That gives the Skeeters the ball back. On 2nd and 6 from the 43, watch Pryor. 1st and 10 from the 49. Brian Cross for the Skeeters. 2nd down and 5 from the 46. Scott Henderson makes a circus catch after Steve Todd tips the ball and gains 25 yards. 3rd down and 9 now from the 20. Big defense by Highland Park. 4th and 12 from the 23. A 40-yard field goal by Van Taylor makes it Mesquite 10, Highland Park 7 with 5:51 left in the half. Following the kickoff after a good fake, King Hall for 12. 2nd down and 10. Counter option up the middle for 7. 3rd down and 3 from the 39. Hall over the middle on a dump pass to Glasscock, and watch him turn it on. 4 plays later, 4th down and 3 at the 33. Who else? Adam Cox for 10. 1st down and 10 at the 23. King Hall for 8. 4 plays later, a Highland Park school record, David Switch Sweeney comes in, kicks a 50-yard field goal. At the half, the district favorites find themselves deadlocked at 10 apiece. In the second half, Highland Park's first possession. 2nd and 10, Glasscock gains 7. Again, Glasscock for 7. 1st and 10 from the 38. Hall to Cox for 15. 3 plays later, 3rd down and 6 from the 19. King Hall escapes the rush. Adam Cox makes the catch, and with 7:36 to go in the 3rd quarter, Highland Park takes the lead, 17-10. Mesquite comes back, though, following the kickoff. 1st down from the 18. It's Pryor for 8. 2 plays later, 1st down and 10. The Skeeters hook up on the pass for 11 yards. 3 plays later, the Skeeters keep it on the ground. 1st down and 10 as they gain 5. 4 plays later, it's back to the air for Mesquite as quarterback Steve Ewing hooks up in the flat. 1st down and 10 at the 18. Ewing again. This time another Skeeter diving catch that gains 7. Watch the top of your screen. 5'6" Todd Bright stopping Pryor along with Gabe De La Garza. That brings up 4th down in the 4th quarter now. Watch as number 32, Greg Aldridge, and number 21, Brian Miller, stop the Skeeter passing attack. And the Scots take over as they hold Mesquite. The start of an incredible 98-yard drive. That was Rod Jones for 5. That was Hall as he went around right in. Then Hall called his number again as he gained another 10. 1st down and 10 at the 30. Lead draw, Rod Jones, as he picks up 13. 5 plays later, 2nd down and 10 from the 46. Hall to who else? Adam Cox. He steps out of bounds. That sets up Rod Jones on the misdirection. He goes left, stumbles, gains his balance, and picks up 26 yards. 3 plays later, Glasscock up the middle, touchdown, Highland Park, 5 yards. 5:44 to go, Highland Park on top, 24-10. That left it to the Scott defense to put the final nail in the Mesquite coffin. Philip Worthen on the tackle. Then Henry Miller smailed screen as he drops Mesquite for a loss of 7. And finally, Captain Richard Tuma on the block punt. The ball goes out of the end zone. Highland Park on the final, 26-10. The Scots go 1-0 in district, 4-0 on the season. Mesquite goes 0-1 in district as they fall to 2-1-1 on the year. The final again from Highlander Stadium in Highland Park. Highland Park 26, Mesquite 10.
When you live...
Good game tonight. Tell me about the kick. Describe it, set it up, and describe it for me.
Well, we were on their 17-yard line after a penalty, and then we got another penalty, and that put it on their 32, or our 30. Warren said he snapped it from the 30, and I was kind of way far back from the ball. But, you know, I was just concentrating and hoping I could kick it like I know I can kick it. And it just went through, I guess.
Did it fire you up to know that they turned around and kicked a 40-yarder just before you went in?
Well, that guy, he kind of got lucky. The ball went 41 yards on a 40-yard field goal. I wasn't expecting to make it. I thought it was wide right. Me and Hop were both, you know, wondering how come it went through, but it just did.
When you hit yours, did you know it was good?
Excuse me?
Did you know it was good when you hit your field goal?
Well, it was down the middle. I was just hoping to be long enough because, you know, it's been a windy week and I haven't been trying too many long ones, and, you know, I'm just glad it was long enough.
Let's talk about you since we talked to you last year at the Holiday Inn. Little commercial plug there.
I think I moved up to the hill.
Some of these guys that are receivers and quarterbacks and linemen, that type of thing, I know what they do to work out. What have you done since last football season to get yourself ready for this year?
Well, over here out at Bailey Field on the grass, me and Hoppy and the JV kicker Wayne Clements, we went out in there and kicked every day. Paul and Arante too, and we kicked every day. And I did a little bit of punting and stuff, and we got ready for spring. And in spring, you know, you got to look real good so they have a lot of confidence in you in the fall. And I was okay, I guess, this spring, not too good, not too shabby. But I know this summer you got to do a whole lot of kicking.
Give me an idea how much kicking.
Well, this summer I kicked about 3 days a week and did weights, you know, help strengthen my legs, and I did a whole lot of stretching, usually about an hour a day stretching to keep myself real loose. And you got to kick like maybe, well, what I try to do is I try to kick 25 good field goals a day. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. If I had to kick 100 kicks, I'd have to make 25 just from all the hash marks and stuff. And punt a little bit and do some kickoffs and practice your onside a little bit.
I have seen some punts from you this year that are really exciting for people to return. What is this? You're going to take somebody's head off?
Oh, and the low punts? Well, thank you, Eddie. I appreciate it. No, just bad drops and bad foot contact and all, that's all. I think snaps were always good. Warren Smith's a good snapper. You can always count on him for a good snap. And the last one, I just caught, you know, smooth. Took a lot more concentration on than I did the first two.
All right, kick another long one. We'll talk to you later in the year.
Sure, appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Ryan, first of all, let's talk about Mesquite. Pretty good ball club out there tonight, but you guys shut them down, especially in the second half.
Yeah, they're good. We knew they were probably going to be our toughest district game, and we were prepared. You know, we knew what was going to happen. We were prepared. I mean, they weren't going to beat us. We knew we were going to win.
Pryor's a good back out there.
Yeah, he's good. He's a slasher, and then he'll go around you, and then he'll run over you, and he's good. He's tough.
I noticed in a lot of games this year, you come up on the line of scrimmage and blitz, go into the backfield. Talk about your playing there.
Well, that's just a safety blitz, and most of the night they were just giving up dives, so I wasn't doing much, but it's pretty fun, just going in there and trying to get the quarterback. Say he passes, go get him. It's just go get him.
Give me an overall view of the defensive secondary. I know Coach Johnson said you guys have a lot of talent back there.
Oh yeah, I mean David Vocal didn't even start this game, and he's great. He's good. We got a bunch of guys that can do the job, and we're gonna be good. We're getting better every week.
Give me the strengths. Talk about the strengths of you guys back there. What do you think you guys do well?
We're smart, we're quick, and some of us are tall, some of us are short. We're just overall balanced, and we're going to get the job done most of the time.
Gabe, I'd like to talk about how it is you ended up at Highland Park here and moved right in and fit in with the program.
Well, high school system is different in Mexico, and we graduate on our 11th grade, so that gives me a chance to do a 12th grade year and get a better view of colleges and all that. I mean, I can go back to a college in Monterey or just pick any college in the States. It gives me a wider view to choose any college.
Had you played any football prior to this year?
Yeah, I have played 2 years of college, high school football for this. Well, they have this college proportion. They have a small high school, so they had a team. So they invited other high school to play, and I selected and played 2 years for them.
How does that stack up to what you're playing here at Highland Park and the teams you guys are facing?
Well, things were hard down there. There was a lot of physical contact, and but I find technique a lot easier over here, and it makes it easier and makes the game fun. And
what about Coach Emery? Your relationship with him?
I think it's good. He's swell.
Do I understand you're a practical joker? I understand you went out on a date when you were here at Highland Park and said you couldn't speak any English. What's the story behind that, Gabe?
Well, it was a practical joke. Henry Miller and I played on Diane Rembert and Eugenia Skidmore, and we had a ball for half an hour. We did.
King, let's talk about Mesquite. It seemed like you had a little easier time, especially at the end of the game, than most people expected, but they were a good ball club, I thought.
Yeah, they were a great ball club. They got a great coaching staff. They got a breakaway back, and they got a breakaway receiver who can go anytime. And it was our defense did a great job containing them, giving us good field position in the second half.
Big night for you running the football, I thought. What were they giving you that allowed you to gain all the yards?
Well, we put in a quarterback draw there past week, and that worked pretty good. And the line was just blocking great. Everybody was just doing real good, and everything was clicking. That's how it's supposed to be.
It seems like Adam Cox gets open whenever he wants to. A lot of success this year.
Yeah, he really does. He's a clutch man. All I got to do is lob it up somewhere, and I know he's going to catch it. He's real dependable. He's got great hands, great speed.
All right, I'm going to let you get in good with the line here. You said they were playing well. I thought they were exceptional tonight.
They were really good. Tight ends, Blair and Brent did great. Gene, Big Dave, Quickside did great. Rutledge had a great game. Hal, Charlie, everybody had just a really great game. Brian ran tough, Rod ran tough. It just made things easy for me.
I know you'd like to stay here all night and visit with us, but I'm going to let you go.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Hey, I'm in a hurry.
Okay. Chuck, let's start out and let's talk about overall the defensive group. I know Wayne Johnson says you guys have a lot of talent. Talk a little bit and characterize the defense for us.
Well, up front, the two shades, Tuma and Worthen, they're just, nothing goes inside on them. They're just incredible. And then our guards, Hurton and Turner outside, they do great. There's secondary, just, we're good all around, and we got depth, and so whenever anybody gets hurt, we can fill in pretty good.
Talk about Mesquite. You guys had a heck of a night. I know you beat them a lot worse than a lot of people thought you would.
Well, we were going in, we thought it was going to be really tough, and it was. They came out and were really roaring at us, and when they recovered that punt and then went in real quick, we were, getting kind of worried, but then we regrouped and got it back together, and it worked out okay.
2 or 3 times I saw Pryor go through the line. I saw several defensive backs' eyes get about as big as saucers.
Well, when you see a guy 6'1", 195 coming about 90 miles an hour at you, was a little scary, but we gang tackled them pretty good and turned out okay.
You guys really seem to be coming together well as a team.
Yeah, we are. We're getting a lot closer as the season begins, and you know, seniors are helping the juniors out, and they're doing a heck of a job.
Now, this wasn't half as bad as you thought it'd be.
No, it's a lot easier.
Okay, let's talk about the Mesquite game. Had a big night. The whole team had a good night, as a matter of fact.
Yes, sir. I think we prepared very well for it. The coaches, you know, knew that they're a good team. The line picked up, and I think they, you know, just blew them off the line. We did what we could do.
Speaking of the line, they had a great evening. Big holes for you and Rod Jones out there tonight.
Sure did.
Up and down. It's got to be a good feeling for you to have that line in front of you.
Yes, sir. Those holes are beautiful. You know, I owe my life to those linemen. They're great.
Talk about the ball game now. You guys were 10-10 at halftime. What'd you do at halftime to feel like you had to establish in the second half? What'd you talk about?
We just went upstairs and did the regular halftime routine. We sat down, had a chalk talk, decided the plays that would go and would not, you know, and just came back and did it.
You're the senior back there. I know Coach Bevers has also got Eric Mays back there. Did he talk to you about leadership capabilities, and he's going to share time with Eric and that type of thing?
Yes, sir, he did. He took me in his office and told me, you know, everything that, you know, that we're going to let Eric, you know, do this to give me a break, you know, when I was injured.
How do you feel about your year thus far?
Well, you know, I love it. It's great. That line is awesome. You know, it's back like that 80 team, and, you know, a lot of unity. I love it.
With all these compliments, do they owe you money or what?
No, no. No, they sure don't. I owe them a lot, is what it is.
After last week, we had Rod Jones, number 37 in your program. We had a lot of requests, but we're going to go ahead and let you interview again this week anyway. We're not going to let that bother us, so just take it over.
I'm back again at popular request, and this might be my last show, so we're going to try to make it a good one. We're here after Highland Park has just defeated the Mesquite Skeeters 26-10. We're here with Greg Aldridge, defensive standout in the game, who stopped Mesquite on a goal line stand. It was a real outstanding play. Greg, tell me what was going through your mind, you know, when the play started.
Well, Brad Miller told me man coverage. If he was split out, he split out and juked to the outside, and I came back. I came back and made the play. Stepped up and made the play.
How do you feel the defense played as a whole? Do you feel like they just did a great job, outstanding job against Mesquite, shutting down Pryor?
I think we did an excellent job. Pryor's a good back. He's a hard runner. We let him slip by, but we were expecting a few. You know, we expected him to get you know, some yardage on us, but he didn't do near the damage that we thought. I think the defense did real good.
Okay, that concludes the interview. Oh, one more question. What are you going to do tonight with the defense to celebrate this great victory?
Well, I thought me and my mom were going to go back home, and she's preparing some milk, and we're going to sit by the TV and watch the Untouchables.
This concludes the interview in the Highland Park locker room after Highland Park has just defeated Mesquite 26-10.
All right.
All right.
Sparkman Hillcrest, with a history.
Yeah, we'll get started football. I think we can use him here.
He has some talent. Of course, he is a real outgoing kid and one that you really enjoy being around. He's full of life and full of fun.
Okay, let's talk about this week now. You come off a big win at Mesquite. You play Lakeview, who's been down for a number of years, but how do you keep it going?
Well, of course, I think the difficult thing this week probably will be knowing exactly what their approach will be. Bobby Waters, their starting quarterback, broke his arm last night, and it'll probably be difficult for us to prepare, not knowing what style of play offensively they're going to go with, whether they're going to try to continue to go with a passing attack or where they'll move to a running attack, and we'll have to prepare for both areas.
Now, we've talked about earlier this year, you can't keep the kids at a peak, so do you try to pull off of them and let them carry themselves through this week?
Yeah, we'll back off this week as far as trying to really have them emotionally involved. Of course, we'll try to impress upon them that we're in the driver's seat at the present time, and it's going to be their responsibility to stay there. But we will ease back a little bit.
Now, as an outsider, I would say, boy, what a great game. I don't know how you could do anything better, but as a coach, don't you have some areas that you need to improve?
Oh, definitely. Each time that you play, you always see things that you'd like to improve on. And the kids see this, and you immediately go to work on it and try to improve and try to eliminate errors, the holding penalties, this type of thing, the turnovers. There's a lot of areas that you can improve no matter who you play or what type of game it might be. There's areas that that you can improve and that you're going to definitely get better.
Okay, 1-0 in district. Let's hope this time next week that we'll be 2-0. For Coach Frank Bevers, Rod Jones, and the cast of thousands, I'm Eddie Clinton. That's our time, and we thank you for yours.
The Frank Bevers Show, a weekly look at the activities and game highlights of the Highland Park Scots, with head coach Frank Bevers and Eddie Clinton. Brought to you by Abio Adlita Realtors, Lincoln Property, Sparkman Hillcrest, Sharp Hardware, J.P. Summers Incorporated Construction and Home Building, Hank Dickerson and Company Realtors, and Murray Savings. Murray Savings was the first to pay interest.
Skeeters. Highland Park football is brought to you by Lone Star Cadillac, Ellen Terry Realtors, and by Computerland. Hi again, everybody. Knox Nunley along with Eddie Clinton. And Eddie, tonight, one of the really great games in the state of Texas.
Heck of a matchup. You know, early in the year, you think for teams to play along and get their game plan down. These two teams open district play, both of them favorites, as you said, and two really good ball clubs. Highland Park 3-0 on the year. Mesquite is 2 wins and 1 tie against Dallas Spruce. Big teams. Both teams are big and should be a great matchup.
Not only are both teams big and great, but we have 2 interesting coaching matchups, in my opinion, 2 of the best coaches in the state.
I'll tell you, this is fun because Tommy Hudspeth, who is one of the class coaches in the state of Texas, is a good friend of Frank Bevers. Tommy accused Frank at the Texas Coaching School this year of setting him up and making him the district favorite. Frank said, "We only have 1 returning starter back both ways." Tommy said, "You do that every year. You set me up." So Tommy Hudspeth, the pre-district favorite, but he knows to win the district, they've got to beat Highland Park starting here tonight.
Eddie, you have followed high school football here in the state of Texas for an awfully long time. Tell me, the question they're asking is, how good is this Highland Park football team? How good are they?
Well, some people compare them to the 1980 team that went a long way in the state playoffs. Certainly the offensive line goes about 6'3", about 235, 240 per man. Quarterbacks, what can you say? Highland Park has just another one in the mold that Frank Bevers puts out every year in King Hall. For the first time this year, the 2 running backs, Brian Glasscock and Rod Jones, have speed, so they can be really good. Randy Emery on defense, he said he'll do it with mirrors. I say he does it with quality kids that concentrate and play well.
Of course, Mesquite has an awful lot of talent themselves. They have some talent on offense. They got a couple of big boys on defense in Featherston and Davis.
They have a good ball club. The guy you want to keep your eye on tonight is their big fullback, number 33, Gene Pryor. Highland Park, what they really fear from Mesquite tonight is Pryor hitting the middle of the line and jumping outside. Frank Beaver says should the big fullback get outside, the big I-back get outside, there'll be a terrible collision between the little bitty defensive backs and Pryor.
Mesquite, of course, comes into this football game 2-1 on the season, and prior to the game, we talked to their head football coach, Tommy Hudspeth. Coach, things, of course, very much different in the state of Texas this year as far as the playoffs are concerned. A lot of folks are wondering if the fact that 2 teams now going to the playoffs changes the perspective psychologically of a football team and a coach now.
It really does, Knox. It makes it more exciting for everybody, the fans, and particularly in the areas where you've had one team that's dominated for so long, like a Plano or even a Highland Park here, or Gregory Portland down on the coast, or maybe an Odessa Permian or a Temple or something. And it gives a team with a little smaller enrollment or something that's not quite going for them as much as some of the other schools, it gives them a chance to at least finish second and get to experience the playoffs.
Coach, they talk about playing Highland Park at home is always a very, very tough task. The fact that you catch them early in the season has to be an advantage from an injury standpoint, I think.
Well, I would think so, except that we've had a lot of injuries in our first ball game or 2 and lost a couple of key players. We lost 2 defensive starters, one of them a real college prospect in Wayne Close, 240-pound defensive tackle. We lost him first quarter of the first game for the season, and we really hate that because we felt like we would need him against Highland Park's big offensive line. But normally that would be the case, that early ball game you wouldn't have the injury problem that you might have later on.
I don't really know how it will affect things tonight. I can't decide whether I'd rather play them early or late. So it's here. I guess we'll just go ahead and play it.
How do you plan on taking the pressure off the passing game offensively tonight with that big, strong rush Highland Park has?
Well, we're a play-action passing team, so hopefully they won't be geared for the pass unless we get into long yardage situations all the time, and then all they have to do is rear their ear back and come at you. So hopefully if we can move the ball on the ground consistently enough and mix our passing game in off the play action, then maybe that will help us to get the time we need to throw the ball.
Tommy Hudspeth, of course, one of the great high school coaches in the state of Texas, and I know he's a little bit nervous about tonight's game. I know Frank Bevers probably is too.
Yeah, Frank Bevers says this will be a big ball game. We told you they feared Mesquite a little bit, which is a lot of times good when you fear an opponent. Good situation for Highland Park, though. Big win last week, as we saw over Duncanville. They feel like they're in good shape to play Mesquite. If they've got to play them sometime this year, they're healthy. They feel like they can compete against Mesquite. And one thing I talked to Frank Bevers about just before tonight's ball game was the fact that these two teams are pre-district favorites and how that's going to affect the matchup tonight. Frank, let's talk about this matchup. You guys, the district favorites, meeting here the first district ball game. Talk about that aspect.
Well, it's always tough when you face someone that you think is very good in the district, particularly the first ball game, because normal procedure is one good team gets beat, one good team gets a little worse. And, of course, it's kind of sad that somebody probably will get beat here tonight, but that's part of the game.
Speaking of that, though, there's a reprieve of sorts since two teams can go to the playoffs this year.
Oh, I think that's true because two people going in the playoffs, this will keep a lot of people alive, them thinking that it might possibly be me that goes to the playoff. And I think this is exactly what's going to happen.
Big ball game, big lines. Talk about the matchup of some pretty good-sized guys out there tonight.
I'm telling you, I hope we all don't get on one side of the field, because if we do, I'm sure the field's going to tilt. There's some big kids out there tonight. We have a big offensive line. They have a big defensive line. They've got a big offensive line, and our defense is not quite as big as what theirs is, but it's going to be interesting.
How do you feel about coming off Duncanville last week going into this ball game?
Eddie, I'm not sure if we could have planned it any better as far as mental attitude, physical, as far as injuries are concerned. We're in great shape right now.
So that's a look at our pregame football show tonight. We should have a dandy for you. Highland Park, the 9th best team in the state of Texas so far this year, as they entertain one of the really coming teams, the Mesquite Skeeters.
It takes years. Why, Bill does business at North Dallas Bank, the bank that treats him in the manner that he's become accustomed to.
North Dallas Bank, Preston Road and LBJ. Uncommon benefits for people who deserve them.
So why do you suppose other banks don't give you credit for being successful?
Talked about a big matchup, the opening game of district play tonight. Highland Park rated by some the favorite, as Tommy Hudspeth told us before the game, but Tommy Hudspeth and his club rated by the sportscasters early in the year as the district favorite. So we'll see tonight just how good Highland Park is, 3-0 on the year, but this is really their first test of the season.
Eddie, in our pregame, you mentioned that this is one of the strongest clubs Highland Park has ever fielded under Frank Bevers' coach football team. Let me ask you this. If you were Tommy Hudspeth and the Mesquite Skeeters, what one area would you try to attack on defense tonight? Is there an area you can penetrate?
Well, I think you're going to see them run at the linebackers. Highland Park has good secondary men. They also have a good defensive front. I think you'll try to see Gene Pryor, the big fullback, start misdirection up the middle, bounce to the outside, and try to go around the linebackers. If they have success, that's where Frank Bevers and Randy Emery feel like Mesquite will have their greatest success tonight.
What about Highland Park? Where will they attack Mesquite?
Well, Coach Bevers said they're going to, like he does on most games, they're going to go out there and just probe, but they will try, first of all, to hit Mesquite straight up the middle, make them play honest, and then Mesquite plays a 4-3. They also play a 6-1. Then they'll try to skirt wide, so you'll look for them to go right up the middle first of all.
Should be an excellent night for football. As we mentioned, temperature in the mid-70s. We had a light rain earlier in the afternoon here at Highlander Stadium, but now everything is picture perfect. And Eddie, it should be one of the really great games in the state tonight. Mesquite, of course, in the white uniforms. They will kick off. The young man doing the booty, number 70, Van Taylor. And this football game is underway. Ball bounces at the 10. Goes into the end zone, and number 12, Eric Mays, will bring it out from his own end zone, and he is tripped up at the 3-yard line. Jeff Rushing, the first man down on the tackle for the Mesquite Skeeters, and right off the bat, a big break for Mesquite as psychologically they pinned Highland Park deep in their own territory.
Boy, a bad mistake there. Eric Mays let the ball bounce past him. Don't like to let the ball hit the ground. And just a big mistake. Let's set the lineups for you. Receivers and backs for Highland Park. Of course, King Hall, Brian Glasscock, Rod Jones. The receivers, Cox, Oden, and Burnett.
I formation behind senior quarterback King Hall. Double tight end alignment. 1st and 10 for the Scots from their own 4-yard line. Quarterback option. There is the pitch to Glasscock, trying to find running room, and Glasscock knifes his way out to about the 9-yard line. Call it a pickup of 5 on the play. It'll make it 2nd and 5 for Highland Park.
Let's set the rest of the Highland Park team for you. The offensive line, Charlie Davis, Hal Watson, John Rutledge, Dave Richards, and Gene Williams across the front for Highland Park defensively.
Defensively, a couple of big monsters on that defense for Mesquite, Eddie.
Now, I want you to notice Highland Park is trying to freeze the middle linebacker. They'll try a lot of counter plays early in the ball game, trying to get John Rutledge, the center, out, able to block the middle linebacker.
Pro set behind King Hall. Hall on the option time. This time to Adam Cox, and there's a fumble on the play. Mesquite says they have it. Let's see what the officials say. Yes, Mesquite has it. Darrell Davis coming up with the football for the Mesquite Skeeters on the first turnover of this football game. Just a minute gone, Eddie.
Again, you saw some misdirection by King Hall, then they came back the other way to Adam Cox on the flanker around. Just a little missed pitch and a fumble.
So it will be 1st and goal for the Mesquite Skeeters from the 6-yard line of Highland Park. 11:07 remaining, first period. Quarterback Steve Ewing with McDonald and Pryor behind him. Pryor, the tailback. McDonald gets it inside, right side, and he is down to the 1-yard line. Derek McDonald, a senior running back, banged his way over the right side and got 5.
Highland Park King there. Set the offense for you from Mesquite. Receivers and backs, you have Steve Ewing, Gene Pryor, Derek McDonald, Brian Croft, Scott Owens, and Scott Henderson.
So 2nd and 1, or 2nd and goal from Mesquite at the Highland Park 1-yard line. Early in the ball game, Mesquite trying to get on the board, and they do, as Gene Pryor scores from the 1-yard line.
Could make for an interesting night of football now. See, Highland Park felt like they were the favorites going in. Mesquite needs that boost playing here at Highlander Stadium. A mistake for Highland Park, and give Mesquite credit, they capitalized on it. Randy Emery, the defensive coordinator, certainly not pleased at this point, but certainly I don't think he's panicked either.
Gene Pryor, a 1-yard touchdown run. Van Taylor on to attempt the extra point, and he really booms it through out onto Douglas Avenue. And with 10:28 remaining in the first period, our score is Mesquite 7 and Highland Park nothing.
Now let's go back and set it up for you again. I want you to watch Highland Park when they come out on offense. You'll notice they're going to try a lot of misdirection. Counters by the quarterback, ends, arounds, that type of thing. And Mesquite is going to have to stop that. Highland Park, again, will try to freeze the middle linebacker. And they'll be trying to open up the middle and then go wide. Mesquite will set in a 4-3, and then they'll come out in a 6-1. Another thing we failed to mention there, because they were so far deep in Highland Park territory, Highland Park hoping to go to an 8-man front all over the field early tonight to try to stop Gene Pryor. Back to you, Knox.
Well, Van Taylor, the youngster with the explosive foot, set to kick it off again, and Taylor really gets into it. Aldridge will take it at the 6-yard line, and he's got running room left side. Aldridge, 15, 20, across the 20, and out to about the 22-yard line comes Greg Aldridge, a junior 165-pound running back, 16-yard return, and it will be 1st and 10 for the Scots from there.
Interesting situation. Set up the defensive line for you for Mesquite along the line. See Robert Hubbard, Darrell Davis, Robbie Featherston, he's a good one, and Robert Stroud. The linebackers, Derek Robbins, Leon Flores, and Terry Moran, and deep. We'll set those for you in just a bit. Cross, Owens, Melvin, and Hunter.
Glasscock and Jones, the running backs, as Burnett goes in motion. Sweep right side. Glasscock trying to get outside, and he is tripped up for a loss as the quarterback, number 23, Tony Melvin, came bursting through there and cut him down at about the 16, maybe the 17-yard line. A loss of about 4 or 5 yards on the play. Call it a loss of 5, and it'll be 2nd down and 15 yards to go for the Scots, having trouble getting untracked here in the early moments of this football game. They trail 7-0, 9:50 left to go here in the first period. Hall, draw play. Jones powers it up across the 15, the 16, maybe the 17 as he just gets back to the line of scrimmage. Robert Hubbard in there on the stop along with Davis and Featherston. It'll make it 3rd down and about 15 yards to go. Eddie?
There you see the records. 2-0-1 for Mesquite, 3-0 for Highland Park. Highland Park averaging a lot more in rushing and passing. It's Mesquite. And you can check it out the rest of the way. Interesting 3rd down call here for Highland Park.
Apparently, quarterback King Hall saw something he didn't like, and he's coming to the sidelines to talk it over with Frank Bevers.
You know, this gets back to what we talked about, Knox. Early in the year, you get your 2 supposedly district favorites going into the first game in district play. You really see what kind of team you have under fire. Highland Park, this really will be the first time they've been tested now. They're behind 7th, and I think things are not going well. Frank Bevers has been in enough of these situations that he's not going to panic, but you've got some of your kids that are starting for him this year, some of your seniors even, such as King Hall, who have not played a great deal. So this will be a chance for them to see exactly what they're made of and see how they pick it back up. There you see the leaders, Brian Glasscock, 33 rushes for 168 yards and 4 TDs. Brian Hall, 15 of 30 on passing for 209 yards and 1 TD. And Adam Cox, 9 receptions for 153 yards and 1 TD. They can score in a lot of ways, and they're going to have to use all the tricks tonight, it looks like.
Mark Pillsbury, the lone wide receiver on the near side of your screen. 3rd down and 15 for the Scots. King Hall, option play. He'll keep it himself. Hall cuts up across the 20 to about the 21, and that's all he can get as he is hit and hit hard by number 74, Robbie Featherston, and number 60, Brad Johnson of the Mesquite Skeeters. So the Scots, Eddie, will have to kick it away. Sweeney on to do the kicking, and Sweeney, line drive type kick. It will be fielded at the 45 by Brian Hunter. Hunter gets a couple back up to about the 47, maybe the 48, before he's finally knocked off his feet by number 44, Mike Blaze, and number 43, Glenn Hunter. It was a 37-yard kick for Sweeney.
A lot of wind in David Sweeney's face that time. Now we'll get to check and see if Randy Emery, who said he's going to try to play 8 men up close on the line. As you see, the defensive line, Robert Turner, Philip Worthen, Richard Tooman, Ellison Hurt along the front. The linebackers for Highland Park, Henry Miller, Steve Todd, and Gabriel De La Garza.
Look at this. Power eye for the Skeeters on 1st and 10. Left side, running with the football, Pryor, and Pryor bangs his way into Highland Park territory as he crosses midfield and gets down to about the 48, maybe the 47, before Chuck Hutchinson knocks him off his feet.
Randy Emery said, as we told you, defensive backs for Highland Park. First, Brian Miller, Glenn Evans, Todd Bright, and Chuck Hutchinson. Also, as we told you, a lot of players will play in the defensive secondary.
Steve Ewing, the man under for the Skeeters, looking at a 2nd and 6 as Highland Park stunts on defense. Works with the I formation behind him. Gives the first man through. That's number 27, Derek Robbins, who had just checked into the football game. Robbins gets a couple.
Steve Todd back in the lineup for Highland Park this week. Also, I think you'll see a lot of George C., who subbed for Steve Todd while he was out. So you're liable to see 4 linebackers in there this evening.
Steve Flores, the third man in that I backfield, now goes in motion right side and sets up power I. They give to Pryor, and Pryor has a couple down to about the 42.5, and I don't think he has enough, Eddie.
Big play that time by Richard Tuma, who penetrated enough, forced Pryor to cut back outside and allowed Gabriel De La Garza to make the tackle. Big defensive stand for Highland Park.
Really was. And the Skeeters elect to kick it away. Eric May standing back around his own 10-yard line. And the kick is to about the 11 or 12 where the fair catch signal is made, and Brian Miller catches it there. 32-yard kick that time. So Highland Park will have the ball for the third time tonight, trailing 7-0, and they will see if they can come up with some offense here.
Well, they've gone outside most of the time. Look for them now to perhaps try to go between the tackles, see what it looks like up there.
Highland Park, of course, as Eddie said, big and strong between the tackles, and they like to move it on the ground if they can. Cox comes near side. Thompson far side. Burnett the tight end. Hall on the quarterback keeper, and Hall has running room up across the 15 to the 20. King Hall spinning out to the 21, called a pickup of about 7, maybe 8 on the play before Terry Moran knocks him off his feet.
Something else you might look for, Knox, when King drops back like he's going to pass, will be the lead draw. We saw that last week with Rod Jones, kind of a delay play going around outside the end.
Blake Burnett checks in. As Pillsbury, the lone wide receiver, comes to the near side of the football field. Motion as the handoff goes inside to Jones. Jones has about a yard as flags fly everywhere, Eddie.
Offsides against Mesquite that time, so that's a big break for Highland Park. Again, it kind of looks like Highland Park just might be a little tight tonight. They know they're in for a good ball game, and it appears they're a little bit tight.
.6:23 remaining first period, 7-0 Mesquite as John Rutledge leads the Scots up to the line of scrimmage. Cox near side, Thompson far side. Now he goes in motion. The Skeeters jumping around up there again. Inside handoff goes to Jones, and Jones powers his way up to about the 30 as flags fly again.
As you mentioned, Mesquite really stunning a lot, trying to anticipate the snap count. Again, it looks like maybe against the Skeeters. So Highland Park will pick up another 5 yards. That's 10 yards in the last 2 plays. We talked about Highland Park early in the ball game. First series tried to go outside. Now they've concentrated as King Hall on the quarterback draw inside, Rod Jones on the inside, trying to get them, trying to get Mesquite thinking about the inside where they can go back outside on the counter plays.
Of course, one of the guys they would like to run away from tonight is 265-pound tackle Darrell Davis, number 77. Hall this time on the sweep to Jones. Jones to the 30, spins his way out to about the 34. A nice run by Jones as he gets maybe 3.5 on the play. Robert Hubbard was the man that corralled him out around the 33.5-yard line.
Knox, that was the lead draw that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. And Coach Beaver said he picked that play up down at coaching school this year. It looks like a pass. They go back deep, and an unusual draw that goes outside, and it's been successful for the Highland Park Scots thus far this year.
Jody Thompson, the lone wide receiver, pro set behind Hall. Second down, he gives to Glasscock, and Glasscock is very, very close to the first down. Scott Owens and Hubbard in on the stop.
Inside number 40, Robert Hubbard brings him down. They mark it at the 36-yard line.
And psychologically, as you mentioned, Eddie, this is a very, very important drive for the Scots. They've had poor field position. They have turned the ball over early in this football game and consequently trail. I know Frank Bevers would like psychologically to get that momentum back.
Well, I don't think it's critical. I think all they have to do is move the ball. They don't necessarily have to score, but they're doing a good job of moving the ball.
First and 10 from the 36-yard line. And Hall will keep it himself, and he slices out to about the 40-yard line. Davis, number 77, the first man off that pile. He had help from Featherston, who checks in at 235. So as you can see, they have some big people up front on that Skeeter front line. Clock winding down, 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, first period, 7-0 Mesquite. As Pillsbury and Thompson come near side, pro set behind Hall on a 2nd and 6. Now Pillsbury goes in motion. And that's the way the Scots will run it. There is the pitch to Glasscock. Running room right side. Glasscock 40, 45, 50. And into Skeeter territory goes Brian Glasscock. Brad Johnson and Leon Flores finally running out of bounds, but not before Glasscock gets another first down. 16-yard run for Brian Glasscock.
You know, we showed you the graphic a while ago, Brian Glasscock leading Highland Park in rushing this year. But the nice thing about him, according to the Scott staff, is that he has quickness, and on top of that, he has speed, something that a lot of Highland Park offensive backs haven't had for a number of years.
Pro set behind King Hall, 1st and 10. Pillsbury in motion. 5-man defensive front for the Skeeters. Hall on the option, cuts it up inside himself. And King Hall is down to the Skeeter 44-yard line before he's finally tripped up by Brad Johnson and Tony Peterson.
One of the things you look for, Knox, Leon Flores, the middle linebacker for Mesquite, he overran that play. If he continues to do that, look for King Hall to break that thing up behind him and go a long ways.
2nd down and 5 for the Scots. Thompson comes near side. Inside handoff, Glasscock running room across the 40, and down to the 35 goes Brian Glasscock. And Tony Melvin and Brian Hunter in on the stop that time.
Boy, and a great block that time by David Richards. He just buried number 74, Robbie Featherston. Great block by the junior tackle, number 77, David Richards.
Adam Cox in the wing formation this time for the Scots. Now he comes in motion near side. Inside handoff again, and Glasscock twists and squirms his way down to about the 32-yard line. Called a pickup of 3 on the play. Tony Melvin, the first man in for Mesquite. Glasscock so far tonight, Eddie, 6 carries, 30 yards.
Might look for that lead draw again this time, Knox.
Okay. They split their wide receivers. 2nd down and 7. Play action. They're looking for Cox in the flats, and King Hall overshoots him down around the 15-yard line. Adam Cox had solo coverage with Brian Cross that time. But I have to think that Hall was just trying to throw it away because there's some pretty good coverage out there that time.
Yeah, there really was. Adam really not open, and King doing a good job of getting the ball out of bounds.
1:57 remaining here at Highlander Stadium. Mesquite 7, number 9 ranked Highland Park nothing. Mesquite scoring early after an opening turnover by Highland Park on only the 2nd play of this football game.
How about Cox over the middle?
Okay, 3rd and 8 from the 33-yard line of Mesquite. Cox comes near side. Hall with that pro set behind him sends Thompson in motion. He's looking over the middle for Cox. Cox at the 15, and he's got it. Adam Cox with a great catch at the 15-yard line, twist down to the 12 as flags fly, and you called that one, Eddie.
Well, Adam is so fast, and when they get him to the wide side of the field and allow him to work one-on-one coverage, you had no safety support that time, so it's almost an impossibility for Adam not to catch the ball when he cuts over the middle like that.
A 20-yard pass reception by Adam Cox. King Hall right on the money. And it will be 1st and 10 for Highland Park from the 13-yard line of Mesquite. Pillsbury to the far side of the football field. Glasscock right up the middle, and Glasscock barrels his way inside the 5-yard line to the 4-yard line for a pickup of about 7.5 on the play before Tony Melvin finally knocks him off his feet.
And a great job that time by Charlie.
The Frank Bevers Show, a weekly look at the activities and game highlights of the Highland Park Scots, with head coach Frank Bevers and Eddie Clinton. Brought to you by Abio Adlita Realtors, Lincoln Property, Sparkman Hillcrest, Sharp Hardware, J.P. Summers Incorporated Construction and Home Building, Hank Dickerson and Company Realtors, and Murray Savings. Murray Savings was the first in Dallas to introduce an interest-earning checking account. Make Murray Savings part of your financial game plan.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show along with Coach Bevers.